Hello and welcome to another episode of the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week with me, Craig Barton. Now, depending on when you're watching this, you may well be starting to panic more than a little bit about the impending GCSE exams. And even if you're not, or even if you don't have a GCSE exam class, hopefully what I'm going to show you is a delightful resource that you can use and make use of with your students. Because if we just kind of go back to revision, I'm always on the lookout for different ways to revise with the students. And I don't like gimmicks, I'll be perfectly honest with you, unless they are useful. Unless there's a definite reason for me doing it, unless it's going to engage the students, but crucially get them thinking, get them talking and so on. And I'd not actually seen a resource quite like this one for GCSE. I'd seen it in a different context, but this is just lovely because it does everything. It gets the kids thinking, it's engaging, but it also gets the kids talking. It gets the kids talking to each other and working together in a really positive way. And it covers loads and loads and loads of topics. So I've built this up a little bit. Hopefully it's not going to be an anticlimax. I don't think it is. Because here it is, GCSE Revision Non-Calculator, which has been kindly created by Smith D88. Now it's just a Word document, a single Word document, and it looks like this. So we'll just do a little drive-by, having a look at all of it. There you go, 18 questions. Now, going off the instructions that Smith D88 says here, that you pair the students up. And one student receives the even questions, one student receives the odd questions. And the idea is, say you're the first student, you work your way through question one, so you've got to find the value of A. If I just zoom in a little bit so we can see that, find the value of A. So you use your knowledge of laws of indices, get the value of A, and then you pass that value of A on to your partner. And they've got to use that value of A to work out this question and then solve it to get the value of T. Now, no prizes for what's coming next year. You get the value of T, pass it to your partner who uses that value of T to then work out the value of A, who then passes A on for you to work out the value of T, and so on and so forth. Now, what I really like about this is, firstly, it's covering loads of topics. So even in these first four, we've got laws of indices, percentages, angle facts in triangle, and then a tricky old solving equations by the look of it. And as we go down, we've got rearranging equations, completing the square, surface area, bit of Pythagoras, circle theorems, loads of stuff. So I like that it covers a load of topics. Big tick straight away from me there. I like that it's different. Because, as we all know, revision can be flipping painful, both for teachers and for students. So straight away, it's different. The kids probably haven't done anything like this before. But more than anything, I like the way it encourages teamwork. Because the students have got an incentive to work together. Because if I'm in person 2, I really need person 1 to get this value of A right, because if not, it's going to mess up my question 2, and then that's going to follow on and mess up everything in the chain. So it really encourages kids to check each other's work and so on. In terms of actually using this in the classroom, I'd be tempted to impose a bit of a ban. I would ban, let's call them the odd number students and the even number students, I would ban the students who've got the odd number questions from seeing any of the even number questions. But what I would say is that if you're an even number student and you're struggling on a question, by all means describe it to your partner, by all means tell them the topic and ask them for advice, but ban them from looking at it, because what that does, it stops one student dominating, because we've all seen this in group work. It's supposed to be pairs or groups of 4, it's supposed to be evenly split, and you get one kid doing all the work. You've got to stop that, and I think this is quite a nice way of doing that, banning students from seeing each other's questions. But at the same time, because they've got that incentive to work together, because they're relying on each other, getting them to explain the problem, getting them to talk through the problem, I think could work really nicely. And I just think this is an absolutely lovely, lovely activity. It also has the big advantage that it's quite easy to mark, because as long as you know the final answer, then you're good to go. And look at that, the final answer is 27. But I really think this is just a nice, inventive GCSE revision activity. I mentioned at the start that I'd seen something like this before. If ever you've been to a maths challenge, kind of follow-on round, and I've done a little bit of work in international schools and seen this in competition, they often use this idea of one kid answering something, passing the answer on to the next child, who then needs that to answer their question and so on. And it's great. I mean, the downside is, if you make a mistake on question 1, it's going to screw everything up. But that encourages kids to kind of check with each other and talk to each other. And also, it's quite nice if they do go wrong. It's quite nice when they start to pick up on it. For example, If you get the wrong value of t by the time you get to question 6, and it's not going to factorise to get a complete square, you know you've made a mistake, so you can go back. And it's quite interesting to say to the kids, when did you know you'd made a mistake? What was it about it that made you know you'd made a mistake? And it just gets them talking and thinking about errors and so on. Anyway, I thought this was an absolutely lovely resource. It's probably looking at the topics most suited to higher tier students, but you could, because it's on Word, you could adapt it for foundation tier students as well. So a wonderful resource. If you've used it, hop back onto the resource page, just share your thoughts and your thanks with the author, and I will see you for a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.